Hey everyone, welcome to your daily update for SOL and BTC. It is a prime day, so we've only really got to look at the one-day charts today. Have a wee bit of a look at some of the others as well, but we've only got a one-day close. And isn't it nice that we get some little pump randomly on SOL today? That's kind of the stuff you expect to see. And then out comes some news about some hack that affects all crypto wallets, etc., through JavaScript. So yeah, welcome to Prime Day. So I just wonder sometimes if they just save this stuff up, have it in a little folder, and release it on certain days of the year. Anyway, liquidity on BTC is still just a pure sign of indecision. Like a little bit more long than short, but realistically, it's yeah, a lot of traders just don't really know what's going on right now. You've got people calling that the top is in and it's done, and we're only going to see downside from here, and you've got other people calling that the bottom is in, and the cycle's not going to end, and it's all up from here, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, ultimately, I think you just got to ignore all the noise, and you just got to say, hey, look, if the price comes down to a level, I'm going to take a long. If it goes up to another level, I'm going to take a short, and just play the ranges and forget all the other stuff. But if it was to do a bit of a sweep, it'd still be down to that sort of 1918 area on the daily, and this 113 area has got confluence with some of the short-term liquidity, as well as a particular trend retest on one of the higher time frames, like a 25-day. So I am starting to wonder if maybe they'll just be cheeky and not quite go hit the 114, but instead maybe bounce off that 113, because we do seem to have that bit of a cluster that's there, and then the gap, and then up to the next bit. But we shall see. They also actually haven't, incidentally, they haven't actually bounced off the trend that takes the price up either. They've just been hovering above it. It's very, very strange price action actually this last few days, and I think that's potentially leading to why people are confused. Or as someone in the Discord said, it's probably got something to do with the moon. Which statistically speaking, actually does turn out to be true a lot of the time. Humans being made of water and all that. Okay, so looking at the SOL one-day liquidity, that's a little bit more bullish, and you'd expect that. The price starts pumping, people chase the pump, and that's the thing. Like you've got to be looking to long when the price is going down, and you've got to be looking to get out of it and take your profit to etc. as the price is going up, because ultimately when everyone starts to pile in to longs and chase the pump that's already happening, that's when the price will reverse. So yeah, we've got to stay ahead of that game and sort of be thinking the opposite way around. So as far as that liquidity goes, it's pretty solid blocks down to 202, 203, and there's retests of areas to do down there. So hey, if we go there, once enough leverage piles up, then that is what it is, and you don't want to be long from 210. So just make sure you got your stop losses in place, and if you're in profits, take some profits. I've been tweeting it out this last sort of 24 hours, that just take them on the way up, and then if it rolls back down, you can always add it back in. Okay, so if it goes to the top side, we're still looking for it to hit 218, which is a 2-day long. It's a 5-day exchange-based anchored long, and it's a weekly long, and they all go to exactly the same number, so it's pretty likely it will happen. It's just whether it does some retests and then bounces back up first. The other thing is we did do a 2-day trend break recently, and that brings targets in that are up around 226, 228. So price is going to try to go there, and it's just, does it do it now, or does it do it 2 weeks from now? We don't know, but those targets are there, and then when they do hit those high time frame resistances, you're going to want to make sure you've taken some profit, because it's going to reverse, and it's going to try to go down to a lower level, or back to a trend or something along those lines, wherever it may sit at the time. Okay, let's have a look at this 7-day liquidity. So 7-day liquidity is sort of built up to about that 115, yeah, 115,552, and that number rings a bell from one of the longs that are in play actually. So so liquidity is forming in the area that price will go eventually, and to the downside, it still sort of drops off quite rapidly once you get past about 107, but yeah, arguably 106s would be on the table by the time the price gets down there. And for SOL, well, that's going to mean dipping back below 200. So last chance to buy at 200, probably not. Like we looking at how out of balance the 7-day is now, you could see that they might sweep that liquidity to the upside there, and it sort of shows 218, 220s are potentials. If it builds up a little bit more, maybe they go and hit that 2-day target before they go down. But yeah, certainly the big blocks of liquidity going all the way down there into the 190s, they would be tasty places to go and open large positions and not affect the spread. If we look at the 30-day, so this is where SOL and BTC are just so completely out of whack. You look at the amount of liquidity there is to take to the upside, which just shows how bearish people are, and how some of these shorts have been open for quite a while on BTC. And I always sort of think the longer you're in a position, the more people join you, and the more people join you, the more likely you are to not maximize. It's not that you're gonna lose on the position, but the more people that join you, the more likely you are not to maximize the amount of money you could take out of that position, simply because at some point too many people join you and the price will start to reverse. And this is where it gets really funky with BTC and SOL right now, is that there's so much liquidity to take to the downside on SOL. 180s, 182, 185, like all those kind of numbers, 190, that huge spike there at about 195, 196. But really, it's the opposite for BTC. If they were to go and grab that lower cluster is a whole bunch of people who think they're safe down there at about 104, 105, 106, that area. And if they would go and grab that, then it's kind of, it seems like it'd be job done, even though there are some lower targets. And yeah, as you can see, that 114 area to the upside is a huge amount, one big spike there that they could go up and grab. So at some point, these two tokens are pretty much going to have to move in opposite directions if they want to balance this thing out. And we've seen that happen before, where it was, I think it was SOL was, pumping up to the upside and BTC was actually going down. At the moment, this weekend, we've sort of seen SOL going up and BTC going sideways, and that's a pretty normal sort of thing to see when you're in some kind of alt season. But to get them totally reversing in opposite directions is something you don't see totally often, very often, I should say. But it is likely to come about based on how out of balance that 30-day is. All right, let's have a look at the fun and games on the short term. So we've had this little pullback on SOL here, which is, in my opinion, pretty much to try and bring people into the market to fill these little gaps, because we're never going to go to 218 if there isn't actually efficiency in going there. And so we, for quite a while there, we had actually up until about probably only 40 minutes ago, looking at that time, up until about 40 minutes ago, there was just a gap there. And so the price starts to pull down, people start to short, they put their liquidations in there thinking that's safe, and these gaps start to get filled. Okay. And so now we're starting to get to the point where we might actually have a reason to go up and hit that target. And BTC is just plain, it hasn't really gone and grabbed any of that lower liquidity that's sort of sitting there, which is very, very close to where the current price is. But at the end of the day, if it goes up a little bit, more people will long, and this will just get thicker and denser. And you can see that once they take some of this topside liquidity, there is plenty formed to the downside to go and grab. So, and the levels haven't really changed now in several days. It's sort of that 116 maximum upside, and 106 maximum downside on the short term. And when you look at the longer term picture, it's gradually filling up, up to about that 118 and down to about that 102. And if you step back a little bit and just think like boxes inside boxes, like if on the short term 116 to 106 is a small box, and then it's inside a bigger box, and that's 118 to 102, and then that's inside an even bigger box, which is sort of 126 all the way down to 96. So these ranges will play out eventually, but it's just a matter of when. So yeah, all we're really seeing from that is that they're heading down. People are opening shorts. Even just some of the stuff that's just appearing now at about 215 on SOL. It's just creating a bridge. Like if you watch that little video I did on liquidity, the price action is just creating efficiency of movement. So as it goes down and people believe it's going to keep going down, they open their shorts and they take these high risk bets, and then if those high risk bets get hit, then they get liquidated or stopped out. Market orders get launched, and the price can easily then move up or cascade up to the next level. So yeah, you've always just got to be asking yourself, like, what are they trying to make me do? If you sit there and just look at a chart before you even consider taking a trade, you just sit and look at a chart and you just think, what are they trying to make me do? Because that's pretty much what all price action is. It's trying to make you do something. All right, let's have a look at these charts, see where we're at. Okay, so we did. So the SOL BTC was really, the last few days I've just been saying, it's just kind of in limbo. Like, it really should be coming up and retesting this level up here at the 188. And likewise, we still should really at some point go down and retest this, the 17933. But as you can see, we have exploded through the 188 level, and we're above the exterior trend. So, that's pretty much, it's an overextended candle. It's not going to move the trend today. It's not going to create any better arrayed support trend. It's literally just overextended. So the next candle could well just come straight back down again, and that would be a sweep, and then you'd see weakness come in, and a general pullback or a bigger pullback on SOL, and that would make a lot of sense because it needs to have a bigger pullback than BTC if it really wants to actually balance out that really out of whack liquidity. So yeah, all this was really telling us on the 1 day is be careful. That's pretty much what it's saying. We haven't hit the break level up here, which is at 19524. We may close over this really old origin level from March. Okay, so if we do close over that, you could get another sort of pump. Just like, the thing about these origin levels is that they can just take off, so you could just get another pump off that and maybe target that break level. But yeah, it's exactly the same type of price structure that's sitting at 17933. And the other thing that could easily happen is it can pull back down underneath that 19012 level. And if it does that in the next 3 hours before daily close, then the rejection off the backside of that would target this 17933 level. So the 17933 level doesn't become a target till it's hard closed and the price is above, which is where the price is now. And yeah, so where this actually closes, it could either give us a bit of a bounce, and that could be like one final push up, but it could also just creep back under and then give us that rejection to the downside. And timing wise, the weekend has built liquidity. Monday has kind of pumped. You'd sort of expect the trend reversal to come tomorrow, and so there's probably more things statistically pointing to this actually dumping than pumping at this stage, but we will have a better idea of that in 3 hours, I guess. And looking at just having a quick look at the weekly, it's hit its trend, so it's hit its resistance trend. So that is also telling us that we should really see a pullback from there. Okay, all right. Daily safety assets. Again, it's kind of just one of those really in limbo type situations where we're not actually breaking the trend to the downside because we're on the corner, but we still have that 65 level up here to go and retest. We're not really reversing because we're not hitting. We haven't hit these upper break levels. Like we've got this one at 65.46. We've got a backside range retest here at 65.32. These are all areas where price should, or dominance in this case, should head up to and retest, which could give us a dump in the short term, but they're all just retests for rejections, and we're not really reversing. And so if we were to really start reversing on this, that's when we start to see like the absolute arse falls out of the altcoins. But it's not really reversing, it's just sort of retesting things at this stage. And so there's not really too much you can actually take from this. But if it is to open where it is, you might get a little bit of a bounce off the backside of the downtrend, and maybe we go up and we test those levels before we roll over and go down, because we'll be able to bounce off the backside of the downtrend, but we'll also still be under the backside of the support trend. So yeah, heading up and then heading down is pretty much what this could do. Or a little bit more bearish would be that it goes down, finds support, and if it finds better support to the downside, then it could start to actually reverse or go up on that. Looking at the weekly though, and this is I only actually charted this up this morning and posted this in the Discord, but it's the weekly looks very precarious. That is a that is a 4-year trend, and there's 6 days to go on the candle, so anything could happen. But effectively, if that candle closes in distribution, then you have lost a 6-year, sorry, 4-year uptrend. And that, looking at the levels that sort of sit below that, there's a couple of origin levels just down in these low 60% areas, and there is a break level. I mean, the break level at 63.76, which is still a drop. And then, yeah, 62, 61s, 60s. So these are all break levels that could technically reverse the price. And that 61.38 origin level in there, that could actually, that's probably the main candidate for being able to reverse it. But if those don't reverse it, then the actual hold level is down here at 59.06. And that could be it. 59.06 might be the end of alt season. If it finds that hold level, finds support, and then moves back to the upside. But yeah, it'd be definitely when we get to the end of next week, it'll be interesting to see how this candle closes. And if we do get a weekly loss of such an old trend, then yeah, those alts are going to fly. All right, so looking at the daily totals, we're going to get a trend shift today from here where it currently sits, and it's going to shift to the top of this new candle. The wick on that candle is ginormous, so if we were to get another move or a little pump up to this trend, it'll almost certainly reject off that, particularly because it'll have confluence with the break level. And based on the structure of those two candles, there's a lower time frame origin level in there, and lower time frame origin levels will affect higher time frame price structure. So that's sort of around that 353.43 area. It will come up and potentially hit that, whilst it is still holding its support. So what this effectively does is it opens sort of just slightly more to the bottom of a wedge, but it could go down, find the support, then go up, or it could go up, give you one more pump, and then push down. But it's a new range really for the total market cap to be playing in once that moves today. And if we look at that from another direction, so this is not using the DXY to balance it. So here we're talking about the value of something compared to the strength of the dollar. And here we're just talking about plain numbers. So from this perspective, it really looks like it should go down before up. But yeah, that's all that's really telling us. Okay, BTC. So BTC at this stage, unless it has a pretty decent pullback, it'd have to pull back $1,000 from where it is. So we're currently sitting around that 1119 area, maybe not $1,000, $800. It would have to pull back to flip that candle into distribution. Could happen, you know, we've seen this stuff. But what has happened is we lost the interior trend. We've now retested and rejected off the interior that was lost. So that's all pretty stock standard stuff that got us up to that sort of 12,700, 12,800 level that we spoke about yesterday. And now what is going to happen is we're going to break the downtrend if we close yellow. And now that'll shift the downtrend to the upside if the wick is big like this. We said this kind of thing yesterday about SOL, and then it just went on an absolute tear at the end of the day and got rid of its wick, but and then continued up. And BTC could do the same thing. You know, we've still got 3 hours. Nothing says that candle can't push all the way up, eliminate that wick, open on the top side of the break level here at 112, 116, open on the top side of the trend, and then push up. Absolutely, 3 hours to go, could happen. The alternative to that is that if it closes as you see it here, then it could push up, hit the trend, and reject. Now, in this case, the hold level has already been used. So if it was to reject, the next logical area for a reject to is actually the lower trend, and that brings it back down into that 109 range. It could even dive that, you know, go down and retest the broken trend. So just the same as this candle went up and retested the backside of this interior that got broken and then rejected off it, it can do the same in reverse. So today it breaks the downside interior, and the price for that would be scarily 109,325. So you know that's definitely within that area that we think price should revisit at some point. So it could come all the way down, retest that as a bit of a liquidity sweep before then doing a bounce. But either way, it'll give another range. You know, so price will keep moving. Now the final outcome to this is that it actually closes blue, so it does get pushed down. Maybe right near the end of the day, the sell pressure just comes in. They push the whole price down and they flip the candle. If that happens, it's not a trend break. Nothing moves. It also doesn't move the support trend because the wick has already touched the support trend, so really it's just a nothing. Okay, so we can probably delete this interior now. It doesn't need to be there. From a cycle perspective, we have gone through enough breaks of trend from the previous high for this to now have a proper daily reversal. So two things will happen. There'll either be a really good sweep and then you'll get that daily reversal because they've now potentially loaded up what they want. Next step is to liquidate anyone that's following and get the last of the positions in at a lower level and then a move up. Or maybe they're happy with what they've done and they're just going to move up, right? So a lot of that will become a little bit clearer based on how this candle actually closes, whether it closes with no wick or whether it ended up closes like this or whether it closes down. So as it is right now, it's more a case of a push up to push down. Yeah, keep an eye on that one. All right, SOL on the daily. It's going to break its interior trend. It's well and truly overextended. It's just trying to get up and hit that weekly target that we talked about yesterday, that 218 target. It's trying to do everything possible to push through to that level. There was a 2-day trend break yesterday as well, which is trying to push through to a higher level. Everything's basically trying to push through to a higher level. The issue is that the daily trend, which is the only one that's actually relevant today, is being a prime day, is trying to pull it back. So we may see this come back down here to this 211 area before the end of the day. That would be perfectly normal for it to be pulled back to the trend. Really, it comes down to where it closes. if it closes over the top of that trend, although it doesn't technically break the trend just by closing over the top of it, it's kind of what I call, hashtag free the candle. Like here, when it closed and it was able to open over the top of the interior, the first thing it did was hit the back of the interior and shoot up because it was free to move. So as it currently stands, it's trying to push through that resistance and it's trying to just hold on above that. Maybe it comes back here. I will probably look to add, if it does do this, if it pulls quite back to the trend, I'll flip this down to a lower time frame. I'll see how it reacts to the backside of the trend and maybe to this level below here at 210, and the other level I'll be interested in is back here at 206, which will actually be hard closed for the second time. And then sometimes, the next thing would obviously be a trend retest, which is going to be all the way down here at about 203. So I'll probably look to just add back in what I've TP'd on the way up and then ride that, or continue to ride that up, depending on where the candle closes, because closing above the trend, you'd expect it then to move to that target that it's trying to achieve. If it dives the trend to sweep the liquidity, that's actually even more bullish because it means they're trying to get more from the downside before they take it up. That normally implies a bigger move is coming. So yeah, just look to add back in and then TP back out as it goes up. And I think that's probably about it, really. What do we got? Just at 2-day. That's what happens when you just have a range trend sitting before your target. Just FYI, kind of annoying. Gets in the way, but it is what it is. If you are in this trade, these are just those areas like the 216 and then the 217 just up here at the break level, and then you get to the 218.9. So the 218.9 is the target, but often this is what happens. There's always a bunch of structure that you're going to run into it as you're heading up, and therefore it can take time to have to work its way through this kind of stuff. But this may also just end up fully retracing back before the end of close as well. So yeah, that's, if you're in profits, it's usually just a good idea to be taking some profits rather than waiting for the absolute greediest exit, which may have something else appear in its way to stop it, like what you're seeing here. That's kind of what it looked like from a low time frame perspective. So these were just the planned areas for taking profit. So we had this broken trend through here, which was bound to get a retest on the 1 hour. So, and that sort of formed that 1 hour channel. So we had the hold level here, which gave the rejection back to the trend. And then the trend took off and really just went through this. It just sort of blasted through that origin level as can happen, and smacked into the older range trend. And when it hit the older range trend, it's just been fighting against that ever since, and now it started to lose the trend and pull back as we get closer to the daily close. So we haven't actually gone through enough stages for a reversal on this yet. So 1, 2, 3. We're only on 3. So this entire weakness that you're seeing right now could just be to bring a few more shorts in so that you actually then can get that final push up to the target by bridging that liquidity gap. But if this gets to sort of 5 or 6 trend breaks, then yeah, it's probably full distribution has happened, and yeah, we might see a markdown. So all right, that's about it. I'm going to try and put together a video today on refining hold levels and getting greedier entries out of and following the trend down for reversals. So that could be a bit of fun. Have to navigate replay tool while recording. So yeah, we'll catch you again later. Cheers. Bye.